All right, we're back for the conclusion of the leather Bonnie bucket bag, and I have a few details to square away here before we continue on with the build of the lining. And the first thing we're going to do is click out the zipper overlay out of the Horween vegetable tan leather. This is the same leather that we used on the base and the two accent pieces. We'll also click out a couple of crossbody strap connectors out of the same leather. So I designed these clicker dies in AutoCAD, and I sent them to a local vendor, and they make these steel rule dies for me. So I've got a couple different vendors that we use for different dies to use with our clicker. This is the strap connector die, and I'll show you how these work right now. So this is a Mighty Wonder clicker. This is made and sold by the Weaver Leather Company. It's an American made piece. And if you're doing, considerable volume of pieces like this, then it pays for itself rather quickly. It's not only quality but speed as well. So both equate to time and money in this business. So we just try to do these little tasks as quickly as possible. Try to find the right tools for the job. And so now we'll make a couple of strap connectors very quickly as well. Oh, that one didn't get clicked all the way. There we go. So essentially it's just a big cookie cutter. All right, so there's the strap connectors. Okay, and now we're going to install the zipper overlay onto this lining piece. Probably can't see it on camera, but I've already established exactly where I want that overlay to go with a metal template. And now we'll just one of those. Just going to apply some 1/4 inch double-sided tape on this overlay. This is a good location to put our tag. We'll just put that right there. And now we'll take this over to the console and stitch all the way around the periphery of that overlay. And the first thing I gotta do is make sure my stitch length is set properly. On this machine, for this operation, I use 5.5. pivot like 45 degrees or so. I'm just going to stop right there and pull the thread where I started to the back and tie it off. I'm going to clip those threads out of the way. And continue on here. I'm going to lift my presser foot and land in the exact same hole that I started in. I didn't have to make very many adjustments there, I got lucky. Cut the threads and we'll tie those off in the back as well. You don't have to do it this way, you can back stitch if you prefer. But since I use a contrast stitch pretty consistently, I like to make this look as clean as possible. Okay, so now we're going to go install the zipper. Okay, we've got everything ready to go here for the installation of the zipper pocket. Got a little piece of a zipper by the yard here with a pull already installed, and we'll start the layout right now. So now that your overlay is stitched on, I just take this liner, kind of fold it in half, and then I'll cut the fabric and interfacing back. Out of the way of the zipper tape. It's not critical what this looks like at all. You'll never see this stuff. Just make sure that that clears everything there. Four lines of the double-sided tape. I'm only going to remove the backing on the portion that is on the leather overlay. can just swing my zipper open. And I just lay this down right on top of this so it's nice and straight. And then sometimes I'll take this larger scratch awl and just run it down the side there, and that tends to straighten it out really nice. I like these to be really straight. Okay. I'm going to remove this bottom piece of the backing on the tape and then apply the pocket at the bottom, right over that tape. So you wind up with something that looks like this with your pocket flap coming out of the top. Now we'll go back to the machine, run one line of stitching here at the bottom, fold the pocket piece back up into the other line of tape that we ran, fold everything down, and then continue on with the rest of the stitch, and then this pocket piece will be complete. Tie my thread off to the back. Fold my pocket piece down and then back up, lay on top of this double-sided tape, and then we'll continue that stitch run. I'll start where I ended here, and then we'll work our way around the first radius, and then we'll be off to the races here. I always hand crank around those radiuses. You hate to get crazy with the pedal and blow the stitch run at this point. It's a lot of work to fix it. Once you poke a hole in the leather, it's done. I'm just going to finish this by hand too. I'm not sure I can get that's what we look like there. Now we're just going to pull the threads to the back, tie them off, and then we'll stitch up this pocket on the little Conso 230, and this piece will almost be done. Matter of fact, we'll just while we're sitting here at the machine, we'll just I changed my mind. Don't listen to me. I might even leave this little error in here. Sometimes this little tedious details in the end makes it worth it. So that's pretty nice. Okay. So we're going to roll over there to the 230 and we'll just zip this up. Okay. Power might be helpful, and now we're just going to rip this. Zip this guy closed on our machine that's so eloquently named Little Ripper, or Lil Ripper. Shelby named this machine. When we turn the when we turn the servo up, this thing does rip. What happened there? Okay, we're just going to sew this upper leather liner connector. This is the inner portion of the bag at the top of the liner that ultimately the grommets will go through. We gotta hurry because the train's coming. All right, we're gonna play little musical machines here. We're using a couple different machines for, obviously this one's set up with white, and the Juki set up with black, and just kind of the way I like to work the workflow instead of changing my thread back and forth. A lot of people won't do that. That's I used to do that a lot before I got the other machine, and it saves a ton of time. So anyway, I've marked the center of this slip pocket, I've marked the center of the liner piece, and I've just kind of eyeballed where I want the pocket to go. I'm going to switch my stitch length back to the maximum, which is 4 SPI on this particular machine. And we'll drop some stitches on this guy. Okay. pocket is stitched on. We'll install 3 rivets on here for some extra security and just a little bit of a look. And then go back to the Juki, stitch on the upper liner piece, and then we're just about ready to assemble the liner. I think I'm just going to top stitch this here. I can never remember where I do it, but I'm going to change my stitch length to about a 5.5. Let's do a test first. Some scrap. See what that looks like. Change it back to about a 5, and then I'm just going to top stitch the liner down so the seam allowance down to the liner. And here comes another train. All right, we're going to install some 9mm double caps here for a little added security and to give it just a little tiny pop of color in there. On the back side, I'd like to use these little scraps of vegetable tan leather that gets punch these out of a 10mm round, and then we'll just pop another hole in there. That just gives me a little peace of mind. be too stressful just on the fabric liner. I have another video on our YouTube channel that goes over all the details of double caps, rivets, grommets, and other types of fasteners we use for leather. And I'll put a, if I remember, I'll put a link up in the YouTube card, as they call it. There you go. Okay, it's time to put the lining together. Obviously these are going to go right sides together, and then I start at the top and I'm going to align my upper leather pieces, and we'll start clipping this together. Once this is clipped together, I'll start the stitch on the Juki on the 1508 to stitch the leather up till just past all the bulk of the seam allowances, and then I'll continue the rest of the stitches over on the little console. So let me kind of massage everything into place. The leather does stretch a little bit from skiving and stitching, etc. So you just want to kind of put things back into place. Make sure your top is lined up. This will all be getting folded down later in preparation for the drop-in. We're not leaving any seams open or anything like that. The original pattern calls to have the side seam left open. We're certainly not going to do that. Everything lines up. Little V notches at the bottom line up really nice. The top lines up. So now we're just going to go ahead and start the stitch at the top on the leather piece here, all the way to the seam allowance. Back stitch, and we'll stop and then continue on the lighter duty machine. Now if this were interfaced with Barb's heavier interfacing, the Decaville light, we'd probably just stitch this up on the 1508. But this, since it has a lighter interfacing, I'll switch machines. It just does a nicer job. Okay. Let's buzz this on with the little console, and then we'll install the base at the same time. Okay. Okay, well, now we're sitting here. Let's just put the base on. There's a leather dust off of it. So I've already made 2 notches in the side of the liner, in the middle, the center of the main panel liners, and corresponding notches on the base. So that makes it real easy just for everything to line up. And just clip this all together and stitch it up. I hope you guys are enjoying the videos that we're making. If you do, I would certainly appreciate it if you'd click the like button. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel and share the video with your friends, someone else that may enjoy this type, these types of videos. I'm trying to grow this channel substantially. And the more people that we can get to engage on our channel, the faster will help us grow it. The more motivated we'll be to produce content for the channel. If you're interested in any of the tools, some of the tools that we use in the shop, in the description of the video is a list of Amazon links. Those are affiliate links, which will help our shop just a little tiny bit. If you were to buy those products anyway, it doesn't cost you any money. It's just something that Amazon will give us just a tiny little kickback for basically advertising for them. They're called affiliate links, and it's not a lot of money. It's very little, but every little tiny bit will help our little operation here sustain itself. Or if you're interested in owning one of our creations, we'd certainly love to make you a custom piece. And you can reach out to us on our website or any one of our social channels. mythleatherco.com is our website. Okay, all clipped together. We're just going to stitch this thing up right here on the little console. Make sure everything's nice and straight and flat, and that's really all you need to worry about. There's no weird puckers and stuff like that. And we'll get to stitching. One thing I wish this machine did have was a needle positioning sensor, so I could just click a button and it would leave the needle in the up or down position. That would be kind of nice. But for now I can just hand crank the needle down. Machine does have a brand new servo on it. When they took it on trade, it had a clutch motor. I couldn't imagine this machine with a clutch motor. It's scary fast as it is. To make sure those side seams are going to be open. Okay, there's that. So on to the next one. Okay, the next process is going to be is gluing down all these seams and then folding this over to the 1-inch line that was previously made. So I have this piece of hardwood that one of my friends made me that is actually, we use it for a strap jig and a belt jig to put vegetable tan belts in here so we can finish the edges real easy. It's just a piece of hardwood that my buddy laminated together, and I just like to clamp this on my work surface here. Right at the edge. So I have plenty of this sticking off the edge here. So I just put 2 clamps on this. And now I have this edge here that I can slip a bag or a liner or whatever I want over the edge of this, and I don't have to kind of fiddle around with it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take some adhesive and glue these seam allowances back. And we're going to take a hammer and hammer this down really flat. This is going to help create a really nice finish on the inside of the bag. I'm just going to take some double-sided, or contact cement, I meant to say. And I just put my finger right in the middle of the seam there, and we'll push it down at the same time. Take some more adhesive and I want to glue this seam down. Some people like to cut this off. I like to keep it in there and just glue it down. I've seen other bag makers tape this down too. You could take some duct tape and tape this down. Or some kind of carpet tape I thought would maybe work. I might try that on one of these makes. Okay. You just want to make sure you take your time and either tape or glue this down. I think it makes it for a really nice on the interior of the liner. Hard to see. It makes it nice and smooth. That way you're not having the seam allowance poke out and kind of create a bunchy look. So now at the top of this, you can see where the geometry shift is here at the top. So you just take a pair of scissors and cut those back, just notch them back. Like that. And now what we're going to do is take some adhesive and roll it all the way around to this 1-inch line, and then fold this back like such, so you have a nice finished edge. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the other seam on the other side. I'm going to glue all the way around the perimeter of the top of this liner, and then I'm going to fold this leather down to this 1-inch mark, and then we'll come back and drop this liner in the bag. Now that the liner's dropped in place, we're just going to top stitch this bag. Next thing we're going to do is install these D-ring connectors. And we have a little jig here that has some predetermined locations and where we're going to put some landing marks on this to punch the holes. I'm only going to punch holes on one side, install the D-ring on the connector, and then place it on the bag, and then we'll use this handheld punch to punch all the way through both pieces before we install the rivets. So I'm going to get one rivet in place. These happen to be 9.5mm post, 9mm diameter cap. So just punch one hole, put one rivet in place to hold everything. And then we'll punch the final hole. Using a leather marking pin, we've located some landing marks where we want to punch the holes for the grommets. And there's 6 grommets per side, 12 in total. And so what we'll use is a 10mm through hole punch, and we have a small punch board, a small piece of granite, and a small piece of scrap leather that we could put on the inside of the bag so nothing gets damaged. So just lay that on the inside like so. And we can punch those holes. to install the grommets, we're going to take this out. And we have a totally separate video on how to install these, all the tools required, explaining how all of this works. So if you're interested in exactly what tools are used, how they're used, there's another video that you can watch. Okay, 6 down, 6 more to go. This is the leather drawstring piece. And instead of showing you the tedious task of folding this over twice, I'm just done it ahead of time, and this is the net result. So you start out with an 1.5 inch wide strip of leather. This is 2.5 ounce. Fold it over in half, and then fold that half over on itself again, and you wind up with basically a little leather sandwich. Just over 3/8 of an inch wide when you're done. And now I'm going to stitch the entire length of this drawstring. Okay. Now we're going to make the little cinch piece, and we'll go over to the cutting room to cut that out. Okay, I've already cut this piece of leather. This is another piece of the 2.5 ounce full grain leather in the black. This is a soft chrome tan. I've already scabbed all the edges all the way down, very thin. And I'm going to draw 1/2 inch lines all the way around this, and then we're going to miter these corners so there's no exposed edges later. And we'll just speed through that process right now. I'm going to miter the edges on all 4 corners here. And so I'm just going to take my scissors and cut from corner to corner at a 45-degree angle. Okay, I folded this piece in half again. Ran some double-sided tape in there. And on this side I've laid 2 layout marks with my handy dandy Tandy leather ink pen. And now we're going to run 2 parallel stitch lines on those ink lines. I'm going to pull all these threads to the back, trim this all up, and run a couple rivets in here, and this piece will be done. All right, guys, well, there you have it. We jumped ahead a little bit, but the cinch piece is now installed, and I also went ahead and made the strap for this. I have another video on my channel that shows you exactly how to make these two-sided straps. So I didn't bother to show you in this video just to save time and the boredom factor to a minimum. So I hope this video was informative. If it was and you like videos like this, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell and you'll be notified of any and all new videos just as soon as they come out. We're working on a bunch of them, and we certainly appreciate your support. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.